Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to the living world of darkness, raged across New York. The scene finds us in the Umbra in Central Park. A nice spring day. Birds are chirping. Sun is falling. Evening dinner time, I guess. And an Umbra reflection where the birds are chirping even more. Right at the heart of the cairn where the woods lap against the false lake that is so much more in the Umbra. The Sept's elders have gathered, all of those of elder or athro rank, though one is noticeably missing. Mother Larissa is here, Mean Streets is here, Last Banner is here. Welcome, Jacob.
Jacob is in his cup clothes of his clave and is looking around tentatively.
Last Banner nods to him.
Mean Streets also gives him a nod.
Afternoon to you both.
Well, what do you got?
Okay. So I have a few things. None of the news is particularly good, but we have some silver linings. We know what Vasili's plan is now. His goal is to flood the Sept with radiation via atomic spirit.
Mother Larissa's eyes widen.
Or at least that's what it appears to be. When we went on our hunt for Malaysia, she asked us some questions, and she reveals that she'd basically been building him rods that are normally used to contain radiation by releasing liquid nitrogen. They're normally dropped from a plane from the sky, and then liquid nitrogen is released into the earth and atmosphere. She was implied to, well, other than perform acts of barbarism, to perform tweaks to this technology so that it would instead release radiation with atomic spirits bound to it. The time we rescued Jaina, Harvika's wife, that was a prototype test run. She's since made all the refinements that Vasili's needed, and he now has many of these rods ready to drop within the Sept. I also forced her to tell me where they were. It was Site ISB2, which can really only be one place unless Vasili has stashed these things in a place you've already broken into. Which I doubt he'd do. Unless he really is triple bluffing me. Which I wouldn't put past him.
That being the facility in upstate New York.
That would seem to be the place. It's the only real lead we've got, or that I've got. Malaysia herself, in a very incredibly odd coincidence, when we approached her and asked her some of these questions before we were going to kill her, some glasswalkers also infiltrated the facility and decided to cut her off somewhere for and he air quotes rehabilitation.
Are you kidding me right now?
Nope. I wish I was.
Last banner sits back.
Basically, I had to choose between picking a fight with them or letting them cut her off somewhere. Decided that this time discretion was the better part of valor. We could have probably taken them, but I don't really want to make more enemies with the Garu in general right now. So she's been arrested, I suppose, but has been effectively shielded by the Glasswalkers as a tribe.
Well, all right then. Let's assume that they removed her from the picture then, for the time being.
At least for the time being. She's already been paid. Malaysia herself has already been paid by Vasili. Her contract with him has been terminated. Their business is over.
What you're describing is certainly the death of the Karen. You understand that?
Well, absolutely. I don't really. If these things drop online, but I'm not really sure how we would be able to contain the damage such that the Karen would survive.
Mother Larissa kind of hunches over, steeples her fingers under her chin, and seems to be thinking really, really hard.
Well, since you're the one that has the most knowledge about what's going on here, then what would you suggest, Jacob? What's the way forward?
I think our most reasonable shot is to get rid of these rods and destroy them before they have a chance to use them. So I think it'll mean it would mean taking a team up to the facility upstate and destroying it.
What do we know about this place?
Not a whole lot, but they probably have. Well, Vasili almost certainly has his last hit squad guarding the place. His team of, his kinfolk SWAT teams.
Armed with silver.
Yep. Now, granted, this time we actually know what we're going up against.
That hasn't gone particularly well for us so far, I don't think. Unless I miss my mark, says Mother Larissa, chewing on her thumbnail.
Well, to be fair, you weren't here for a lot of it.
Guess not. I heard the gist of it. And I'm here now.
It's really the only path I see forward is destroying this facility, going up with a team, destroying all those rods, taking out that last kinfolk team, and hunting down Vasili.
It's just he's been a slippery motherfucker so far.
Yeah.
I don't want to be throwing our people into his teeth again.
I don't really think the office incident helped us all that much, because it's just given him a chance to move location before he makes his big play. Which I'm not sure he would have done if the office wasn't burnt down, but that's neither here nor there, I guess.
He's got these kinfolk, and not only these kinfolk, but he's also got atomic spirits. Whether or not if we break the binding, we're going to have to deal with them anyway on this side of the Umbra. And we might be dealing with the Ronin himself, which Last Banner can attest is he's a match for any of us, except maybe the Alpha. Says he gives sort of Mean Streets gives sort of a furtive glance over to Mother Larissa, almost as if sizing her up.
She's chewing on her thumb.
But you're right. I think that's the way to go.
Yeah, if we can destroy these rods, everything he's done has been building up to this. This specific technology that has atomic spirits bound to it. If we deal with the rods, that's the linchpin to his whole plan. If we deal with that, then he doesn't actually have much to attack us with.
But I sit here and I'm looking at this, at the state of our Sept. This is incredibly dangerous. There's a good chance we could lose some good young talent.
And it's not a bad idea to fight him on our home turf. He hasn't had a Sept in decades. He doesn't know what's here. He doesn't... She frowns.
Well, what is here that can stop that?
What are you suggesting?
Well, I don't think we have anything that could stop it yet, but now we have some ideas. We could start looking. I could call in some people. Maybe.
What sort of time frame are we working with, Jacob?
That I don't know. All I know is he has everything in place. In theory, he could launch the attack tomorrow. As far as I know. He has all of the resources and assets he needs. He has the main linchpin to his plan complete. He has it housed up in his facility, ready to go. He has the atomic spirits bound to it. We know that from when we rescue Jaina. And he wouldn't have let Malazia go if he wasn't ready. Her part in this plan is done. So I think at most we've got maybe a few days max.
That's a lot of uncertainty.
It Yeah, it's not ideal.
It's too much. We don't have enough to go on. And he'll want us to know. He'll give us forewarning. He's announced himself every damn step of his little game here. He wants us to see what he's doing.
Well, we do know. We know that this is his plan.
Yeah, but that wasn't something he gave us. That was something we took. Maybe he wasn't planning on or thinking on, or maybe just didn't care. It's not going to change somebody's announcement, right? It's like in the modern day, right? In movies and the plot's getting spoiled, right? The movie still comes out. They still do the commercials to tell people what's going on. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think that's going to change him doing whatever it is he does.
Sure. So we at least have until he makes his move.
Well,
And then we'll know a little better about where he's coming from and what we need to have in place to stop it. No use sending people out half-cocked.
well then,
I don't think so. No offense, Motherless. I think we just need to nip this in the bud while he's still trying to get together his announcement or whatever.
Yeah, sorry.
Speak, Jacob.
I was going to say if I perhaps may ask then a reversal of my or make a reversal. Before I was talking about how short on time we were. If we're confident he's gonna want us to know he's coming, why give him that time? This might be the first time in this entire conflict that we have something on him that he's not aware of. He might be expecting it, but he certainly doesn't know for sure.
That's pretty on the nose, I think. What about you, Last Banner? Where are you at on all this?
Last Banner is staring at all of you. She has her hands folded on her knees, hasn't moved since she last sat back, and her eyes are intense. She says very slowly, I think Mother Larissa is right. I don't think our people are ready. Our Sept is too young. I don't think we have the chops to fight him on his turf.
Are they ever going to be ready?
Mean Streets, we can't send kids in there.
Kids is what we got.
I mean, they're cliffs, they're adults.
I mean, the worm ain't going to wait for them to be old just to die. We know how this war goes, and granted, this ain't the worm, this is a Ronin, but whatever comes out the other end, surely they'll be more prepared to take on the real enemy, right?
There's not going to be a real enemy fiercer than this. He's willing to destroy a cairn. He may have nothing to do with the worm, but he's serving its ends. He knows our weaknesses. They'll be armed with silver. He's got pain spirits. Doing his bidding took down some of our good fighters already. Just by themselves. They go herring off into his territory. Don't even know what's there. I just don't like it. Let him come here and fucking try me.
I don't think we can play scared, though.
And I don't think he's gonna...
He looks at Jacob. He looks at Jacob.
And I don't think he's gonna come here like these things, like he's gonna be watching from the roof of a penthouse or something, watching those rods drop onto our sept. He's not gonna come here directly. He's just gonna watch the results unfold. Like, I mean, to him, this is literally his life's work, right? This is some sort of twisted magnum opus. Like, he's going to want to see the results, but I don't think he's going to directly attack us. I mean, even when he has done it with a great deal of precision. When all of the odds are tipped in his favor, I guess, to push the Shadowlord angle when there's a perfect storm brewing for him. You're like, forgive me for bringing up Last Banner, but when he attacked you, it was when you were alone and isolated, right? And he went in with not just by himself, but with a hit squad.
She grimaces, but she nods.
Like, he took his time to track your movements and figure out when you'd be alone, then organize the hits so that he would have not only advantages in numbers, but also in preparation, and with him there personally. Like, when he had every single advantage. And even then, he still failed. He wasn't able to defeat you. Which I think lends further credence to the idea that he just won't do this directly. Most of his attacks on us have been indirect, picking off vulnerable or trying to target us, Garo, when we're isolated, when we're weaker, or leading us into traps. And he's only been partially successful at that. He's managed to bait us in, but he hasn't managed to kill us. I have ways, and I know other Garu, the other packs of ways to at least partially deal with the defenses he'll have. If the kinfolk come at us, I have ways to stop their weapons. I know I and several others among us have ways to resist the power of the pain spirits. As for Vasili himself, well, he's the real wild card. He hasn't really expressed his full power to any of us aside from you, Last Banner.
He did this to us before. He sent us herring off up north to go chase down something and hit us while we were gone.
Which is why I don't want to take every Garu. I only want to take a team.
What would that team look like? Just for the sake of argument, he says, looking over Mother Larissa.
She's scowling. Her chin is starting to jet forward quite far.
I'd need a Gar of every auspice. I'd need a Ragabash to acquire us the information we're lacking as we go. I'd need a Fiage to help us deal with all the spiritual interference we're going to be receiving, because we're definitely going to be on the receiving end of that. There's no disputing that. He's clearly made that a primary element of his plan and method of attack and defense. Myself and a Galliard would be required for battlefield control when we do go loud, because we'll have to go loud. And we'll need an Narun for that as well. But I don't want to take too many Garu, because as you said, we need to leave at least some people at home in case this is a bait and switch. But the primary goal is going to be destroying the equipment there, destroying the rods. Everything else is just an obstacle in the way of that. Like the kinfolk, we can fight them, we cannot fight them. They're not the main threat. the main threat, the key to his plan that he has been developing for a good while now, to the point where he employed another Ronin, are those rods and those spirits. And that's all we need to deal with. Now, we could wait and take more time out. That gives both sides time to prepare, because obviously Vasili is not, as Mean Streets has said, Vasili is not going to wait for us. He is going to be turning that place into Fort Knox. That's what I'd do if I were him. I'd make that place as impenetrable as possible. And we've seen the degree to which they can make that happen. I mean, when we broke into Jaina's, when we broke into the complex to hold Jaina, like that, I mean, that entire area was literally occluded within the Umbra. We couldn't see it properly. Not until we passed a certain threshold.
If you're right, it's going to take more than 5 Gar. My thinking is, if we were to do something like that, we would have a group sent with express concern with hunting down those kinfolk and eliminating them.
Okay.
Even if Ashley gets away, we can take out all the rest of his support. And then also anything else that happens to pop up, not just them, but, other guards or whatnot.
Yeah.
Any other surprises we might run across. And then another group specifically there to try and disable the rods.
Okay.
I think a 2-prong approach would be the way that you go about that.
Okay.
He's just splitting us up again. We don't even know he has those rods. His goal might be to nuke the Sept, or he might be just pulling you all north away from me, where I can't do a thing to protect you. I don't think we should make any moves until we're all agreed on this. We're putting people's lives in danger.
I mean, I have the schematics for these things, and I tested the veracity of Malazia's words, and she stated this. She created those for him.
To be fair, just because they exist don't mean that it ain't a ploy.
No, I mean that's my concern. That's why initially when I suggested going in that, we limit the numbers we do have going in. But I look at this. I look at the state of play right now on the battlefield in this conflict. We've been stretched thin multiple times, but in the process, Vasili has been whittling down his own assets. One of his facilities is just outright compromised. One has been burned to the ground. That facility upstate, that's what he's got. That's it. Unless he's been hiding something, but we have no means of verifying that one way or the other, so it's sort of a moot point. That's it.
Exactly. We let him batter against our defenses until there's nothing left of him. We've got the place.
But we can also take it out of play.
And my issue is that that stratagem would work if he didn't have this specific means of attack. Because it may be a ploy, but he can still use it. That's the thing. It's he can either use this as a bait, but he can also use it in a very literal offensive fashion.
I think it's too dangerous to leave alone. I think we got to get in there and take it out.
It's too dangerous to go get it.
All right, well, let's call it to a vote then.
I vote we hunker down, see what we can do to increase our defenses here.
I vote that we go and take out this facility, try to remove this technology from his grasp.
I'm with Mother Larissa.
Jacob's going to use a gift.
Ooh. Oh yeah?
Yeah. So he does, in fact, have a gift which may help him in this situation. The Omen of Truth. To ask for Gaia's, well, effectively her guidance on an issue. And this is, given the split nature of this call, would be a very good time to use it. Particularly since so much hinges on a decision. So I need to roll my wits plus enigmas. And the more successes I get, the clearer Gaia's guidance or slash opinion is on this issue.
All right, Jacob Clay.
I think the difficulty does go down to 5 because we're in a very naturalistic, spirit-heavy area.
Hold on. Hang on.
That goes down by 1 or by 5. Let me double check.
I'm not looking at that. I'm just putting in the scene start. Go.
Okay, let me just double check that I've got the difficulty right. Oh yeah, just 5. Very naturalistic area.
What's the name of the gift?
Omen of Truth. The system is the player spends a Gnosis point that makes a Perception plus Enigma rolls. Difficulty varies from 9 to in a featureless sealed space to 5 for a forest at sunset. The gift takes a maximum of 1 full minute to use. The user gains a -1 difficulty for deals on the problem for half an hour, which isn't relevant. Successes add to the nature and certainty of the omen, while a botch brings on equally certain but erroneous conclusion. More than most effects of this gift are up to the storyteller. So there you go. Though the storyteller should use it to give a hint as to Guy's 2 cents worth on the matter in question.
Give the page number for me.
Yes, page 79, Book of Auspices.
Thank you.
I'll just give you the description as well. Half moons are seldom called upon to make easy decisions or clear-cut judgments. If things were so simple, the philologs would not be needed. Yet when it comes down to it, even the judge could use a hint now and then. By taking a moment to look around, the wise Garu may see in the fall of a leaf or path of a butterfly an answer he seeks.
Okay, so with 4 successes, describe what Jacob does as he uses the gift. Take your moment to look around.
So he sits down and he sort of tunes out the voices around him for a moment. And he begins to look deep into the heart of the cairn, just staring at it and all the spiritual essence that flows through and around it. One of the many hearts of Gaia. He tries to attune itself to her pulse so that he may know her intent.
As Jacob is staring into the heart of the cairn, the sort of essence of the cairn itself, you can sort of see the pulses of the cairn, and as you're trying to discern the ultimate truth about all of this, especially coming from this dispute between very trusted individuals, You notice that the pulse of the Sept seems to create the image, just the very fleetingest of images, and maybe you're even reading into things a little too hard. Your brain tells you, but it feels right. Of Krynos Garu, like thrusting forward at you, covered in blood, and then vanishing like that.
Well, hopefully Jacob doesn't misinterpret this horribly.
You feel the righteousness of your cause.
Everyone is looking at you.
I vote to attack the facility. It's the one time we've had the initiative on Vasili. I feel it's the only sure way to deal with him. And we can't keep protecting people at the potential expense of the Sept. At some point or another, we'll have to we'll have to take the offensive. We've been reacting to everything he's been doing. We've been playing defense for a long time now. This is our moment to take the fight to him.
Mean Streets just looks over at the other two, just this kind of like his eyebrows quirk, and he shrugs like, "There you have it," and just gestures at the Master of Challenges.
Then the jury's hung. No one do anything stupid. I'll take time to pray about it. I don't want anybody herring off until we've come to some kind of a consensus. She folds her arms and sits back. Last Banner stands up and kind of shifts her weight slightly so that it's obvious that Last Banner is standing kind of at Mother Larissa's shoulder.
Mean Streets just kind of closes his eyes and pinches the bridge of his nose and looks at Jacob and says, "Well, you heard the lady."
Jacob looks frustrated.
It's all right, Sonny. You've done your best. Keep researching and find out what you can. I'll talk to some theurges. Let's see what we can do about these spirits. Atomic. What does that even mean? She stands up.
It's... Jacob hangs his head for a moment in a way that...
Yeah, when Jacob goes to speak, Mean Streets just puts a hand on his shoulder and just like squeezes just to get him to stop. You do that, my Mel. I trust in your ability to protect the Sept when the apocalypse comes raining down on us.
This asshole thinks he's the apocalypse. He's got another thing coming. She reaches out and grabs the handle of her shopping cart. It clatters noisily as she starts to push it over the roots. Dirt path. Last banner doesn't move, doesn't follow. She stays watching Jacob and Mean Streets for a minute.
Mean Streets claps Jacob on the shoulder and turns and begins wandering off in sort of the opposite direction of Mother Larissa.
Jacob will come and utter Mother Larissa and last banner before walking off with
Sorry, did he follow Mean Streets?
Yeah, he's just following Mean Streets.
Okay.
Mean
Last
Streets
banner gives him a nod and then turns and walks off.
Mean Street sort of holds up just a little bit, just kind of slows his roll to allow Jacob to come up, and he looks over Jacob and says, well, that didn't go the way I thought it would.
This is a problem. We're talking about the vision, but we can't even come to a decision on what we should be doing.
Sometimes, son, we got to get out of the way of ourselves. And do what we know to be right. Sometimes destiny gets put on someone's shoulder, and they ain't always ready, but shit, they got to do the best they can with what they got.
There's a very heavy implication to that statement.
I would never tell you what to do. You're the master of challenges. But I have faith. I have faith that we're going to see this through the right way. Then he gives Jacob a very pointed look, and we'll sort it out at the end of all things.
Yep. Sometimes you just gotta make the call.
One time there was a Ronin. Did what he had to do. Got him exiled from the Sept. Let's see if we can do better.
See if we can.
And he sort of looks down at the ground for a sec, looks back up, looks over at Jacob, gives him a smirk and a nod, and then sort of diverges from Jacob's trajectory, leaving him to his thoughts.
Yeah. Jacob looks back to the heart of the cairn, knowing what he saw. And he knows what the decision should be.
And with that, I think we can end the scene. Thank you, player, for playing. Watchers for watching. Good night.